Praise the Lord. Greet you all in the matchless name of Jesus Christ. God is good, is he not? So I want to give honor to God and to my pastor in his absence. He called me this morning, and he's not sick, so don't think your pastor's sick, but his wife is sick. And so he said using the wisdom that God gave him, he would hate to have to bring it in here and get anybody else sick, because a lot of times before you actually get sick, you might have whatever your spouse got. And so he's just using the wisdom that God gave him. See, he's remembering the promise and the vow he made before God in sickness and in health. See, God knew when he called him to be pastor that what his wife would be and what he would be. Amen. God knows all things. So this morning, if we could go to the book of Daniel, chapter 3, verses 22 through 25. 3 sections of scriptures here. Not many, but 3 sections. God is a good God. I really do just love the Lord. I was sitting back there just thinking about how good God has been to me. See, I can't tell you how good God's been to you, but I can tell you how good he has been to me. He has been a good God. He's faithful. Yes, he is. That's one of the things I love about God the most, is his faithfulness. See, when things get dark and times get hard, who can I lean on? See, I can't lean on my mom. I can't lean on my wife, because my wife might be down. If she's down, how can I lean on her? But I can always lean on the Lord. See, he's got an everlasting arm. I'm talking to somebody this morning. He's got an everlasting arm. You see, he don't get tired. God don't sleep. He don't sleep. He don't need no rest. Amen. So in the book of Daniel, chapter 3, verse 22 through 25, I'll read. And it says, therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, true, O king. And he answered and said, lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Yes. And in the book of Isaiah, chapter 63, verse 9. Y'all pray for me this morning. I'm not going to ask you if you prayed. I'm going to say pray for me. Because you might not have, I don't want to put you on the spot. You might not have prayed for me, but pray for me now. In Isaiah chapter 63, verse 9, it says, in all their afflictions, he was afflicted, and the angel of his presence saved them. In his love, in his pity, he redeemed them, and he bare them and carried them all the days of old. And last scripture in Exodus chapter 1, verse 12. In Exodus chapter 1, verse 12, it says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And I would just like to speak from this subject in Isaiah chapter 63, verse 9. In all their afflictions, he was afflicted. See, the children of Israel had been afflicted in the land of Egypt for 430 years. But prior to that, the Pharaoh that before ruled knew Joseph. And Joseph was the second man in charge in Egypt. See, what happened to Joseph was he had some dreams. Yes. And he had some dreams that he told his brothers, but because he was a dreamer and his brothers weren't dreamers, they envied him. Yes. See, you know what that told me? That if I got a dream, I'm going to keep it to myself. Right? I would hate for somebody to rise up against me because I had something that they didn't have. See, everything you got, you don't share with everybody. Sometimes God might give you something that's just for you. It's not for you to go tell her, him, and the next man. Right? So sometimes you just got to keep something for yourself. Amen? But see, they envy Joseph. And because they envy him, instead of killing him, his brother Reuben said, let's not kill him. But what we're going to do is we're going to sell him. And we're going to sell him to Egypt. They sold him to some people around the way. And he ended up in Egypt. And in Egypt, he ended up rising up and becoming the second highest in Egypt. And see, in Egypt, the Hebrews weren't like the Egyptians. A matter of fact, the Bible says that the Egyptians had no dealings with the Hebrews, so much so that the Hebrews lived in the land of Goshen. They didn't even live in Egypt. They live right on the outside of Egypt, kind of like Vandalia and Cass, or Cass or Vandalia. You see, I said Cass and Vandalia because we take precedence of Vandalia. Anybody from Vandalia, don't stone me. But that's the difference between the Egyptians and the Hebrews. So Joseph had a little favor. But see, the next Pharaoh that came into power, he knew not Joseph. He knew not the Hebrews. And this is what he said. He said in Exodus, he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also our enemies and fight against us. So get them up out of the land. See, this is what happens a lot of times with enemies and people that you might know. See, they think they're dealing wisely with you when they oppress you. But little do they know the oppression that they put on you will allow you to fall down on your knees and give God some glory. See, a lot of times when I'm oppressed, the first thing that I do instead of going to anybody else is I go down and give God some praise. I go down and give God some glory. See, they think that they're dealing wisely with you, but they don't know where my help come from. They don't know when I'm down and out, and when I get down on my knees and I talk to the Lord, I get a little bit stronger. I get a little bit wiser. My faith tends to increase when I go to the one that has a little bit for me. See, you can do whatever you want. You can't do whatever you want to me. I told one person, they said that if I had a gun right now, I could kill you. I said, no, you can't. Because you got to go through God before you can do anything to me. See, I don't know who you know nothing about, but I know the God that controls everything, that holds the whole world up by the word of his power, the one that stretched the north over the empty place and hangeth the earth on nothing. I know him you got to go through. So you can't just do whatever you want to me. You say, I want to slug him, but for some reason your arm won't stretch out. Hallelujah. And see, that's the difference. See, sometimes people think that they're going to do something to you. What they thought was evil, God turned around and fixed that thing for your good. And Joseph said that, see, y'all meant for evil to send me down in Egypt. Y'all thought y'all were doing something wrong by sending me down here. But really, you don't know I done saved the whole world. Because what Joseph did, he was over the food. And when the famine came for 7 years, that's who was in charge. And so when his brethren that came down, oh, look at that. Look how the tables have turned. His brothers that came down into the land of Egypt that didn't have no food, now they needed to buy fruit, and who had it? Joseph. The one that they sold into bondage. See, that's why you ought to be careful how you treat the next man, because you never know where he might be down the road. See, right now he might be the little one polishing shoes, but then he might be the CEO of the company that you work for. And then he might say, well, when he see you in the elevator. No, you be careful how you treat people. See, I'm always of the thought that, you know what, I might be able to lend you a hand today, but tomorrow I might need you. I might need you tomorrow. I might fall among thieves and might need somebody to lift me up. I might need you to come pay my hotel fees or do something nice for me. Right? But see, this is what happens a lot of times. In our weakness, God is strong. He told Paul, he said, in your weakness, he said, my strength is made perfect in weakness. When you are at your weakest, now I can come in and be your strength. I can come in and robe you with my power. I can allow that Holy Ghost that I've given you to be used, because you have found yourself weak. You have found yourself not being able to deliver. You have found yourself not being able to overcome. But now I'm going to allow you to use my strength in your weakness. I want you to use a little bit of me. I'm so thankful that I found it out, and that I found it out in time, that I don't have to use my strength, that I can use his. See, because I'm not strong that within myself, my sufficiency comes from God. See, I've tried it. I've done it so many times. I walked for many years trying to do it myself, trying to do it DelShawn's way. And it always got me in trouble. Somebody smack him upside the back of the head. It always got me in trouble trying to do it my way. But it was until I yielded unto what God had, unto his plan, unto his salvation. Because this is God's salvation. See, Israel forgot about God when they got on top. In one place in Deuteronomy, it says, he told them, beware that thou forgettest not the Lord thy God, in not keeping his commandments, his judgments, and his statutes, which I command thee this day, lest when thou hast eaten in our food, look at that. When your belly gets full, When I start to increase you, when I start to bless you, why is it that when God starts to bless us, when people draw farther away from him? Why is it that when you got the healing that you cried out for God to get, is when you walk away? Somebody said the 10 lepers, only 9 of them came back. See, the 10 lepers, all 10 of them were healed as they went, but only 1 came back and gave God some glory. It seems like when God reached out and touched your body, when he finally reached out and touched the very thing that you've been asking for, is when you just tread the street and walk along like he ain't did nothing. But see, this ought to be the time where you should give God praise. This ought to be the time when you should give him a little glory when he continues to show up and show out. When he show up and show out, it should be the time that you give him glory instead of walking away when you get the blessing. He said, I got the blessing, I'm on my way now. No, give God the glory for what he has done. He said, when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, when you got that raise on your job, when you got that raise on your job, you told the Lord you was going to pay double tithes. Hello. Don't promise God you're going to do something like that. Because he's holding you to that. If you promise the Lord something, he's holding your feet to the fire. Do what you said you're going to do, because guess what? He's not a man that he should lie. And if he make a promise to you, he's going to make it good. See, God's going to come through on his end of the deal, but are you going to come in on yours? Are you going to meet the requirements to do what God asked you to do? So this is what they failed to realize, that they thought they were going to afflict them. They thought they were dealing wisely with them, but this is what happens a lot of times. See, a lot of people think that when they're afflicting you, that they're really causing you some trouble. See, but the God I serve is not just the God of the hills, but he's also the God of the valleys. He's also that God when you're down and out and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. He's that same God when you need a breakthrough. He's that same God when you're being afflicted on your job. He's that same God that's going to reach out and deliver you. He said when your ways please the Lord, he will even have his enemies have peace with you. All you got to do is just serve the Lord. He said when the enemy comes in like like a flood, the Lord will raise up a standard against him. See, God's going to make a way for his people. He's going to make a way for his own. He's going to do what needs to be done. So this is what happens a lot of times. They cry out to God. Over and over, God wanted to deliver them. Over and over, God showed him his power. He parted the Red Sea. Right? He was a cloud by night and a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day. God protected them. In one place, when they got past the Red Sea, they said the horse and the rider, they began to sing songs. The horse and the rider, he is cast in the sea. But then later on, they started to rebel. They started to complain. They started to murmur, can God serve us a table for us in the wilderness? I know he's given us manna. I know he's given us water out of the rock, but can he give us meat? Come on. Can he give us meat to eat? Yet he was already sustaining them. When God is sustaining you, are you wanting more? Is it not enough? Is it not enough what God has blessed you with? Is it not enough that he has given you a job? It might not be the greatest job, but you can provide for your family. Is that not enough? See, sometimes we always want more. We want more. We have more, so much so that we can't even see the blessing that we got. We can't even see that God is already hello. We already looking for the blessing that God blessed you with already. You're searching for something that you already have. You're looking in places for something that you've been got already. See, sometimes when you're going through God so good, you don't even remember him coming through. I remember there was something I was going through and I was praying to God about it all the time. It was vexing me and I was struggling with it. And I looked up 3, 4 months, 5 months went by. I forgot what it even was. I looked back and said, you know what? I'm not dealing with what I was dealing with. But it was not until I took my mind off of it. It wasn't until I gave it all over to God that he began to work on my behalf. And this is what he does a lot of times. See, God wanted to deliver them. And when they cried, and God heard. And not only did God hear, he said, I've heard the cry of my people. It says not only did he hear, but he's seen. See, when you're going through the trial that you're going through, don't forget that God not only hears you, but God also sees you. God also can see what's going on and see what happened with Job. See, with Job, God and the devil had a conversation. God not only did he not hear, did he not see, but he sanctioned. I'm going to allow Job to go through what Job's going through because at the end, Job is going to come forth better. See, somebody asked me one time, it was a very good question. I don't think they were really trying to challenge me. They said, would you allow your daughters to go through something if you knew it wasn't good for her, if you knew it was going to be trouble? And I said, well, is it going to be good for them? I said, do I know the end of the matter? They said, yeah. Well, I said, if I know the end of it, that it's going to be better for them, I'm going to allow them to go through it. See, sometimes as a child, you got to bump your head a few times before you learn something. You see, I never wanted to listen. They said, I'm trying to tell you, when your parents trying to help you, and they're trying to tell you, I've been down that road before, and they're trying to tell you, I already know what it's like, you just got to experience it for yourself. So you don't want to listen to the wise counsel. You want to do it yourself. You don't want to listen to the one that been down the road already and already got the scars and the bruises and the bumps. You want to do it yourself. And see, that's what happens a lot of times. But God seen what Job was going through. See, when you're tempted and you tried, God always makes a way for you to escape. God's not going to put more in you than you can bear, but he always will make a way to escape so that you're able to bear whatever you're going through. God's a good God. So he tried to help them. He gave them laws. He gave them commandments so that the nations could see. In one place it says, for what nation is there so great who hath God so nigh unto them as the Lord our God is in all things that we should call upon him? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? See, the church has got laws so righteous that people just, they don't understand them. We got laws so great that people sometimes, they might not be able to put their finger on it, but there is something different about you. I had a man tell me the other day, he said, man, you a good dude. He said, man, you're a good dude. He couldn't quite put his finger on it. And that's not a praise to me. That's a praise to the God I serve. Because if he would have met me a few years ago, he wouldn't have said that's a good dude. He wouldn't have. He would have had to be honest. But sometimes people can say, you know what, there's something about you. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they know something about you is not the same as them. You are showing something different. You are shining brighter than what they are. And so they can see something that's different about you than with them. There's something you got that I don't have. So God tried to continue to deliver them. He gave them judges. He gave them laws. He tried to help them, but they continued to rebel and rebel and rebel. They continue to cut up and not do right, even though God will continue to deliver them. And in one place it said that they cried unto the Lord. They cried unto him, not in this place, but in another place. And it said that God heard them. Yes. He continued to hear them. I can only imagine if my daughters, I did everything I could for them. Right. I set the table for them. I provided for them. Right. I did everything that I could as a father. And they said, I want a new father. See, the children of Israel got so off balance that they said, let us have a king rule over us like the other nations. Yes, I don't want the father I got. I don't want the father of the whole world, the God of the whole world, but I want a puny king. What if my daughters told me that? We don't want you, Daddy. We want somebody else. Yet I fed them. Yet I bathed them. Yet I gave them everything they need. Yet I gave them medication when they were sick. I gave them food. I gave them clothes, warm clothes, good clothes. I gave them a roof over their head. I provided everything that they needed. And yet they said, we want someone else. And this is what they did to God. God did everything for them, but yet they said, we want something else. We want more, we want more, we want more. But yet God, every time they cried out, he would hear them. Every time they was afflicted, he was afflicted. When they went through, he went through. He said, this is my people. I'm going to deliver them. So we get to the book of Daniel, and there's this statue. There's this statue of the Babylons that King Nebuchadnezzar had built. And he had a statue built. It was a gold statue. It was a gold image. And what happened was he made a decree that any time that you heard the sackbut, you heard the flute, you heard the harp, the psaltery, the dulcimer, you were supposed to bow down and worship the image. You were supposed to bow down and give God, the image worship. You were supposed to give the image that Nebuchadnezzar made worship. But see, the three Hebrew boys wouldn't do it because they had a God. And God said, you will not worship anybody else. Well, my worship belongs to me. See, God's a jealous God. And he's not going to just take anything. And what's for him is not for everybody. You don't go give your worship to somebody else that belongs to God. If you're a child of God, your worship belongs to him. You see, I love my wife, but I won't worship her. I love my children, but I won't worship them. My worship belongs to God. And see, they knew that. And they told the king when they were brought in before the king, because they wouldn't fall down and worship, they said, King, we're not careful to answer you in this matter. They said, we know God can deliver us and God will deliver. And if he doesn't deliver us, he's still God. In other words, if God doesn't deliver me, that he is still God no matter what. And so when it came to pass, the king said, we're going to throw him in the furnace. We're going to throw him in the furnace. But when he threw him in the furnace, he said, we see somebody else. I thought we threw 3 in, but we see 4 in the furnace. See, you know what they didn't think? They thought it not strange concerning the fiery trials. See, this was a literal fiery trial, but they thought it not strange. They were not careful to answer the king, knowing they could go in the fire. See, it doesn't matter what your situation is. It doesn't matter what you're going through, right? It doesn't matter what they say about you. See, when you're going through, when they're going through and they see you praise them, when you're going through and they still see you give God glory. When you're going through and you're having trouble on your job, they still see you singing praises. They still see you waving your hands. They still see you praying for people. They still see you talking to God. They still see you reading your Bible. They still see you talking to the Lord. They say there's got to be somebody else with them. I see another in the fire with them. Even though they got trouble, even though they're going through, somebody else is with them. And see, God is with us no matter what. Allow God to be with you in your affliction. God wants to be with you because God's going to be with his people. He's going to comfort his people. He's going to do what it takes to be with his own. He's going to make a way for him. He's going to be with you in the midst of whatever situation it might be. You just got to yield to him. I thank God I yielded to him. Yield everything over to God and give God the glory. In your affliction, in your trouble, whatever it is you're going through in your life, it's not too hard. Somebody said, I've sinned too much to come to God. I know the devil is a lie. And see, that's what he'll tell you. I'm too messed up. I'm too messy. You know what? I don't want to be. Somebody told me I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to go to church, and then when I go to church, I leave. I know I'm gonna go do that, this, that, and the other. You don't know what you're gonna do. See, when you come here, that word, he said, my word will not go out and return unto me void, but it will purpose that which I purpose for it to do. See, God's word might work on you. You think when I came to church, I had an idea about getting saved? Absolutely not. What is saved? I'm saved already. That's what I thought. I thought I already had a relationship with God. I thought I already had something. But see, the preaching of Jesus showed me something about myself. It showed me that I wasn't so quite close to God that like I thought I was. See, I thought I knew something about him. I thought if the rapture happened today, I thought I was going until somebody was bold enough to tell me the truth about God. Until somebody was bold enough to tell me, you know what, the way you living is not right. What you think you have, God's got more for you. See, I'm not saying if you're not saved that you have nothing. That would be a lie. But what I'm saying is God's got more for you. God's got more for you. He wants to do more for you. He wants to put something in you. He wants to give you a little bit more power. Somebody said a little bit more power. He wants to strengthen you. He wants to be in the midst of your affliction so you got that Holy Ghost when you're troubled that I can get over the hump. So that I can keep my hands off the liquor bottle. So I can keep my mouth clean. So I got a little power. I got somebody with me when I'm going through. See, I don't stress. I'm remiss to stress about things. I've gotten to the place in God, you know what? It is what it is. Somebody said it is what it is. I'm not going to stress about something that I cannot control. That's misery. I'm not going to do that. If I can't control it, God, it's in your hands. Because what else can I do about it? But see, that's the faith that God has blessed me with, that you can have too. If you don't, I'm not saying you don't have it. I'm just saying, let God do something today. In your affliction, don't go through it by yourself. You are not alone in your affliction. Allow God to be in the midst of the fire. Allow God to be in the midst of the trouble. See, trouble don't always show on the outside. Sometimes it's on the inside. And sometimes all you can do is smile when you see people. But see, God knows you're hurting. I might not see you hurting, but God sees you hurting. Allow God to take control. Allow God to come in. Allow God to change you. Allow him to sustain you. Allow him to give you that comfort. Allow him to be your joy. Allow him to be your peace. He can give you something that you never thought you could have. See, I didn't know how fun salvation can be. Folks think that saved folks don't have no fun. That the devil is a liar, and he the father of it. I told somebody I laugh more now being saved than I ever have. See, but that's what that's from the devil. The devil will paint a picture of salvation as something that somebody said all saints do is go out to eat. We can do more than go out to eat. They said all saved folks do is go out to eat and go to church. No, we have a good time. We just got statutes and laws that are so righteous, that are nigh unto God, that makes God nigh unto us. We got something special. I have a good time. We play cards. We go to the movies. We go bowling. Some of us bowl 300s, but not all of us. Not all of us bowl 300s, but some of us do. So some of us do. You know, I don't think I'll ever get that lucky, but allow God to do something for you today. Today is the day of salvation. It's not about tomorrow. And see, it's not about don't think about the walk down the altar, because everybody's made it. Everybody had to make that walk up there. It's not about your age. You could be young, you could be old. It's not about salvation is, if I get up and I'm a little older, everybody gonna think something bad about me. Then they need to get to the altar. If they got something to say about you because you came, they might need to go get dipped again. I just changed the baptism water. It's clean. I changed it last night. It might be a little cold, but it'd be good for your soul. Let God do something new. Let him change you. Let him help you. Let him be with you in the midst of your affliction. Elder Pompey.